Good morning, welcome to a new video. It's about 7:30 now. I've got the tender all put back together. Dad had to use, well, I disassembled it because I was driving the truck on Sunday, and then Dad just used the skid loader last night at his house, so he had to haul it down there with it. So we got that all put back together. I'm walking over to the planter to see how much is currently in the 2x2 and in the in-furrow, and we're gonna mix up our batch for today based on what's already in there. That way we come out empty. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if we can get this thing dialed in today, hopefully we come out empty at the end of the field. We got 20 gallons of 2x2 and 25 gallons of in-furrow. So the in-furrow was quite light on that last field. The 2x2 is getting very close. We did 15 acres and we had a little less than an acre left over. So it's close, but we ain't there yet. So now you guys know the drill. Sheet's gonna come out. We're gonna fill the 2x2. Well, first, like I said, get the sheet out, make our recipe, fill the 2x2, and then back up, fill the in-furrow. I still have to do that flush like I was talking about in the last video. We're gonna run some wipeout through this since we just ran Roundup and 2,4-D in it yesterday. And then we'll be all set to go. We are now on to using bulk seed as well, so we have to dump the 2 boxes of seed in the tender and take that down to the field. We've got our list. So I started out writing out field total, and then that is not all going to fit in the tank. We need about 1,210 gallons of 2x2 solution and 315 gallons of in-furrow solution. So we split everything completely in half. We're running a 31.5 acre batch. So 2 of each of these items and 2 of each of these items. You can see those amounts. Sidekick 97.65 gallons. I think we're going to dump, like we do the 318/18, we're going to lift it up with the skid loader and just dump it straight in the top, because that is a lot of Sidekick to pump and induct. So we will, I'm going to figure out how much is in this tote first of all. Way more than what we need. There's 125 in there. How do we want to do this? How do we want to do this? Alright, so my amazing plan, what I did was I took a new tote over there and I filled this one, which was sitting there, up to 173-ish. And now we drain it down to 75, the mark I can see, and that is the correct amount to go into our tender. So then on the next round, we'll just take the new tote and top this one off to right under the 100 mark, and then the whole tote goes in. Now, since Sidekick is starting out in the tender, we are going to induct the boron, because we got to use the totes now, directly like we would have if we were doing lower volume Sidekick. So let me clarify, the amount of Sidekick per acre is not changing. It's just the amount we're doing. We're running a 31.5 acre batch, and we're running 3.1 gallons of Sidekick per acre. So the amount is just a lot. So we are finally rolling. We're 7.5 acres in on our last headland. Started up in that corner. These are some really good conditions now. We're throwing dust with the planter. Got a lot of back and forth to do. Running 50-ish PSI on the in-furrow. Turn the 2x2 up a little bit. I'm hoping we're dialed in now, but we'll see. Solution's a little less blue. There's no copper on this field. We basically traded the copper for manganese. We got into, this is some heavy dirt here, so pretty much all of our heavy stuff is calling for manganese. This one didn't need much. I think it's like 0.8. I think it called for 0.8 pints to the acre. We got a few fields that are like 2.5, 2.8 pints. So yeah, those are some pretty deficient fields, but this isn't like super heavy ground. There's spots where it lightens up and stuff, but for the most part, it's heavier, so that's why it's calling for manganese. it seems to be the copper is more deficient on the lighter ground. But this one got boron, manganese, and zinc. And then also sugar in the M-furrow and 3-18-18, 2 gallons to the acre. And the 2x2, there's 3.1 gallons of Sidekick, which is double OT 25-17 sulfur in the 2x2. We just ran out of 2x2 on the left side. The right side is not too far behind it. We're 14.6 acres in. I had 305 gallons on me when I started, so we're just about perfect. I'm not gonna mess with it. The left side might be a little heavy, the right side might be a little light, or I just loaded them that way, so you never know. The M-furrow is bouncing around, but there's probably 30. The tank's tilted, so the numbers kind of don't mean anything anymore. 35 maybe? I'm gonna have to go up a couple of PSI on that yet, but everything is getting dialed in, finally. Well, we filled back up. We're 19 acres now. We are now running 55-ish PSI on the M-furrow because we were still light. Somehow. Seems like when we start out it looks right, and then it just ends up stretching somehow, but I don't know what's going on. If this load doesn't get it at 55, then we're going to figure something out for the next run of planting. I was just thinking about the fact that the first day we started planting beans last year, and this was the earliest year ever, was the 25th of April, I think. Right now, it's the 22nd, or the 23rd. It's the 23rd. And we're already 45 acres in. We'll be 100 acres in by the end of the day. But we started planting on the 17th. That's nuts. That's crazy. And we had perfect ground conditions too from the beginning. Last year, there's a field we probably shouldn't have planted, but it ended up yielding really good. We had the very first 20 acres that we planted, I think was the night, 24th, at night. I planted like 9 o'clock at night. It went 70 bushel the acre. 70! That's nuts. But what do I know? We're gonna keep going though. Ideally, if it wasn't gonna rain, I'd go and do that 24 that I sprayed yesterday. I'd do that 24 that I sprayed yesterday, but I think we're going to be lucky to get this one done before the rain, and that one was honestly a little tackier than I thought it would be. It's a sandier field like what we started on the other day, but it wasn't as nice as I thought it was driving over with the sprayer. Kind of looks like my M-furrow is going to be right this time, so 55 PSI might be the right thing. I don't know how you go from 3.5 gallons or 3.6 gallons to 5 gallons in 5 PSI when I jumped from 40 to 50 and I didn't seemingly get anything, but maybe I miscalculated on the first run, I don't know. I just topped off what was left in the M-furrow tender, so now we're running until we run out of 2x2, and we seem to be pretty close now. I had a half an acre left to get to 30, and I had 10 gallons left in the tank, so I'm going to turn her up a little bit more, run like 56, 57, and this should have her dialed in, I think. We are finishing up this round. My 2x2s just ran out, so they're off now. This is the second time I've done this, so we've got a half a planter check over there, about half the field, and then we're going to have about half the field with a full planter pass of a check with no 2x2 here. I'm guessing you're not going to see a difference on the yield monitor, but we'll see, I guess. That's running a little high again. There we go. Trying to run 56, 57. Keeps fluctuating a little bit more than I'd like, but we're getting to the end here, and then we got to run up and refill the tender. Figure out how much M-furrow we need to finish, and figure out how much 2x2, which it looks like we are just now, we're coming up on half the field done, so we were about a half an acre heavy on the 2x2, which I'll just throw a little extra in for water when I'm up there, and that'll take care of that issue. But for 32.5 acres and coming up a half acre short, it's not bad. Well, you're not gonna believe it. The most of the rain's gone off the forecast, so there's like 0.02 inches being called for in the next hour. So hopefully we can get back to the farm and get back. I just got to fill one more time with seed, and then Dad can take the tender home and get it put away. I'd like to have a tarp on that wagon, that'd be nice, but for stuff like this. There's 11 acres worth of pop-up in furrow in the planter. It's pretty dang close to where it needs to be. We just loaded our last run of seed. There's one more fill left in the tender. Now we're filling up. We just filled our last in furrow, and we're in the process of filling our last 2x2. And it's 6:30, so if it would have rained, we wouldn't have made it. But we're gonna make it. We're 50 acres, got 16 left, 18 left, something like that. But I'm hoping I got my in-furrow dialed. If I do, it'll be running out right on the last pass. Yeah. Alright, I'm on my way home. It's about 7:30, I think. And we ended up about 0.5 gallons short, more like 0.6 on the in-furrow. So I gotta jot that down on the paper so that I know to make up for that in foliar. And that field I averaged about 57 PSI, so we're up into 60, and hopefully gonna get that last half a gallon. We've got a good day tomorrow. We're gonna knock out hopefully 2 separate fields, 24 and 18. I think I got the time wrong last night. I told you guys 7:30 we finished up. Well, I don't feel like I did a whole lot after I got back here, and I went in the house and it was 9:20. So it was late last night. I ain't gonna lie, it was a little difficult to get up this morning, but we're up. It's almost 7 o'clock, and we gotta do some things before we can plant today. Today it's supposed to be like almost 85 degrees. It probably will be 85 on the real field, but that tractor, the blower for the air conditioning wasn't working very well, so we gotta pull the cab filter and blow that out. Hopefully that'll fix the issue. We've got to mix up new fertilizer this morning. Our goal is these 2 fields, 24 and 18 acres, about 45 acres combined. If we can get them done, it'll be a shorter day, but it will put us, I think, halfway done with beans. And the next field on the docket is 65 acres, and I can't get that whole thing done before we get a ½ inch of rain tomorrow. So I don't want to do half of it and not be able to finish it, because we end up doing that a lot more than I'd like to, and it always messes up combining when you can't harvest the whole field at once. Just got the cab filter blown out. Now we got to make some changes because we're going back to no-till. So the first thing is we got to bump our depth down a ½ notch. So pull up on that, flick it over. So we're 4 holes and 4 holes. We were running anywhere between 1.5 inches to 1.75 inches in the tilled field where we just were, so we weren't doing too bad. Our leak is still leaking. Also, I didn't mention that yesterday, but that bucket's almost full, and it's just been overnight. So it's actually probably leaking worse than it was before we took it apart. I'm gonna pick up some hose and replace all that plastic crap with rubber hose and hose bibs, because they seem to hold up better than those silly compression fittings they put on there. Alright, I'll show you guys the other thing. The wheel track of the tractor is on a heavier downforce setting for the closing wheels, but the rest of them got lightened up. So now we bring them down to the next notch. That one's already there. That's a wheel track, like so. If they're still having issues closing, we'll bring them down to the next notch, but that should be good. I'm checking furrow jets too while I'm out this morning, because that happened yesterday, and it looks like it happened again on a different row. The hose popped out, so I'll have to drop the furrow jet off, make sure there's no dirt in there, and put that back together. I don't know what caused it. I'm guessing rocks. The last field was really rocky. I've got our first load for today set out, but I gotta document on this one from yesterday. Our total in-furrow rate, the first 15 acres went 3.5 gallons the acre, but average was 4.5. And that was good at 20 gallons. So that's our applied rate. I will be calculating percentages on everything and going back and supplementing with foliar when the beans are up, what we need. So those go over there. These are the other two finished ones that go over there. The 2x2 is done. The sidekick rate on this next field bumps up from 3.1 gallons to 4. So there's 4 gallons per acre sidekick in this, and there's 1.96 pints of boron per acre in there. We just got our 318/18 in the front tote. This field also, it runs from, their last field was 2 gallons to the acre. This one's 4. I don't know what their threshold or what their algorithms are for changing rate on 318/18, but our fields do fluctuate a little bit. We've had one field be 4, that one, and the one behind it was 2. So I don't know what it is that calls for that, but 10 gallon sidekick, that's what I got put in, and then 5.2 ounces of Intensify, that's that right there, that's 5.2 ounces. Centos, this one's a trifecta, it gets all 3 micros in the trench, copper, manganese, and zinc. Not a lot of all of them, but enough to where it'll probably make a difference. We started having some real major issues with the fertilizer system, plugging orifices, and just inconsistent pressure across the furrow jet. So we are unfolded in front of the shop. I'm working on cleaning everything out real good, and we're going to make some pretty big changes tomorrow. You guys see that in the next, what is today? What is today? Thursday? Yeah, you guys see it in the next video. So yeah, we're making some big changes. Hopefully gonna make it better. Hopefully gonna make it where our rate will be consistent and all sorts of fun stuff. So right now we're just burning some brush piles that have been up and around. So we'll end up going out and getting that tender truck as well as the seed tender and bringing it all home. And then next window we will be able to get back to planting, hopefully. Got that pile. Dad's running across the road. There's another pile over there. Getting them all burned up. We're in the process of bringing everything up from our failed endeavors of planting back here, but I'm out in this cover crop here, and you can see we got a nice stand of clover, ryegrass obviously, and then any volunteer wheat that's coming up. I think that's the shorter stuff there. So it'll be a good cover to plant green into. This is later day me, and letting you guys know that the corn planter right now is working in the driveway. I got everything cleaned up and running, but we are making some changes tomorrow in the next video. My precision dealer is coming out tomorrow, and we're going to change up some stuff. So stay tuned for that video tomorrow, or it'll be Friday or Saturday, something like that. But stay tuned, and you'll see the changes we make, and then the next weather pattern coming around. We can get back to it. We will probably get pretty dang close to finishing beans. I think we got a 2 or even a 3-day window coming up, and if everything goes smoothly, we'll be able to knock out some acres there pretty quickly. And we are about 35 acres short of being halfway through. So thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.